You know something isn't working in your practice. You feel burned out, financially stressed, or maybe trapped in a schedule that owns you instead of the other way around. But maybe you can't pinpoint exactly what it is that needs fixing first. So you end up either avoiding the business side entirely or maybe trying to overhaul everything at once. But either way, you end up feeling overwhelmed. Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm a trauma therapist and a business coach for trauma therapists who are ready to evolve their practices into something that fits where they are now and not where they were when they started. In today's video, I want to talk to you about how to identify what actually needs fixing in your practice, and also how to build on solid ground instead of adding strain to an already stretched system. Most therapists that I work with are excellent clinicians. They know how to work with dysregulation, they can track relational patterns, they can identify interventions that really move their clients into a place of healing. But when it comes to their businesses, they feel stumped. And here's what I noticed. Many clinicians want to expand their practice, but they're trying to expand it before strengthening the foundation of the business. It's like trying to build a second story on a house without checking to see if the foundation can handle the weight. And that's why I developed the Practice Foundations framework, because I think of there are 5 areas as the load-bearing walls of your practice. You might not notice them when they're solid, but when one is compromised, everything else starts to shift. The 5 foundations are financials, operations, time management, professional development, and marketing. So let's walk through what each one actually means for you as a trauma therapist and for your practice. So first is financials. And that's not just about knowing your numbers. It's about having a sustainable relationship with money that doesn't require you to lower your fee every time a client gives you a compelling story. Do you know if your rates are sustainable? Do you have financial reserves for time off, for emergencies, for retirement? When you're making financial decisions from a place of scarcity instead of strategy, every clinical decision can start to have higher stakes. Operations. Your operational foundation is about whether your policies are actually protecting your time and energy. I'm talking about primarily your cancellation and financial policies, sliding scale policies, and communication outside of session. And also what happens when those boundaries are tested. If you are making exceptions out of guilt or avoiding policy conversations because they feel uncomfortable, this foundation needs attention. Because when you have strong policies in place that you can stand behind, the policy does the heavy lifting so you're not making decisions on the fly based on guilt or pressure. Time management. So time management for trauma therapists is so important. And it's not really about productivity hacks. It's about designing a caseload and schedule that you can maintain without burning out. Does your schedule match your energy and take into account the intensity of trauma work? If you dread certain days of the week or feel depleted by Thursday, this foundation is probably compromised. The question is whether you've designed your schedule intentionally or whether your clients have designed it for you. Professional development. This is a critical area for trauma therapists because we love to take trainings. But the questions have to be, are the trainings you're taking building confidence or are they adding overwhelm? Do you feel like an imposter most of the time in the therapy room? I think the question isn't whether you're skilled enough. I think the question is whether your approach to training and professional growth is strategic or reactive. Because when we take trainings out of reaction, of feeling not good enough to help a particular client, our training strategy is diffuse. Strategic training is about depth and not breadth. Marketing. Marketing for trauma therapists is not about becoming a social media influencer, unless you want to be. It's about whether potential clients can discover you, trust you, and understand that you're the person who can help them before they even walk into your office. Can the right people find you and understand what you offer? If your website hasn't been touched in years, or if you can't describe who you love helping in concrete terms, this foundation needs work. But here's what happens when one of these areas is weak. It creates ripple effects everywhere else. So a financial foundation that's shaky impacts decisions like whether or not to enforce a cancellation policy, which can then lead to overbooking yourself, which drains your energy. And if the financial foundation is shaky, then you market out of desperation or lack, which leads you to taking on clients who might not be a good fit, which then leads you to taking a new training to figure out how to work with a particular presenting issue. Everything is connected. And that's why an assessment of your foundations is critical when you first start looking at your practice from the eye of a business owner. But let's talk also about how the foundations can support you in evolving your practice. Every practice evolution touches all 5 foundations. Adding intensives means revisiting your financials around pricing, operations, around new policies, time management on how to fit them in, professional development around additional training, and marketing around website updates and finding referrals. Let's take another example. Transitioning to private pay affects your financial projections, your operations around sliding scales, and how to communicate with your client when you're going off insurance panels. Time management around how to shift your caseload, professional development around claiming your worth, and marketing around positioning yourself differently. So let me share a story about my colleague and friend Laura. She had her business foundation set: strong financials, clear policies, sustainable schedule, but she wanted to work with clients on a deeper level. Instead of just jumping into intensives, she worked through the foundation systematically. First, financials: how much to charge and whether she could afford to pivot her business model. Then, operations: new policies for longer sessions and different payment structures. Time management: she blocked 3 hours once a week, and if she wasn't offering an intensive, she used that time to work on the other foundations. Marketing took most of her energy, building her website and expanding her referral network. Professional development included learning about extended sessions, but more importantly, business coaching so she had the mindset to make the shift confidently. The result? Intensives that enhanced her practice instead of overwhelming it. Foundation strength determines expansion success. You know your foundation is strong enough to support expansion when you can answer specific questions about each area without guessing. And that's where the free Practice Foundations Assessment Questionnaire comes into play. It's a 30-minute investment that will save you months of building on unstable ground. The assessment measures where you are across all 5 foundations, gives you a score for each one, and includes specific next steps and reflection questions for each foundation. Here's what I'd love for you to do this week. Take an honest look at those 5 foundations and identify which one needs attention first. Don't try to fix all 5 at once. Pick the one that's creating the most strain right now and start there. If you're ready for tailored support through all the 5 foundations, get on the waitlist for the Transform Your Trauma Therapy Practice 8-week coaching program. I launch the program 3 times a year, and it takes you through each foundation with the support of a small cohort of fellow trauma therapists. Because I believe sustainable expansion isn't something that you figure out alone. You need colleagues and a guide, and I'd happy to be that for you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.